Hey, this is Chub, and in this video we're going to be looking at the Slash movement change, which was the reduction of her sliding friction, which came in the October patch. Now, I'd like to say straight away that I do not like this change, for multiple reasons. This may surprise you, because I'm moving around pretty quick, 700, 800 units, pretty consistently. The truth is that her speed is not what really matters to me, especially how I'm doing it, how I'm controlling it in this way. If you were to look at this closely, you'll see that all the slides I'm doing are relatively safe. The mouse movements are pretty tame, and I'm not pushing full force to get as much speed as possible, because if I did that, I would sacrifice control and crash into stuff, and it just wouldn't benefit me at all. It's just the better way to play her, as far as I can tell, is to just be a bit cool, calm, collected, and just move around sensibly. And you'll just be at 800 units almost all the time. Especially on this map. Like, I have to clarify, this is Sarnath. This is the map for her to push and to really show what she can do. But, yeah, so why don't I like this? So, first reason is that I predict that many people, depending on how many people actually play Slash and throw it around in FFA, TDM, and duels, Unholy Trinity, whatever, and people will complain that she is too fast, which they have, which they are right. Just imagine a guy just hanging out, and me coming through 800 units with just reasonable LG tracking on him. He's just feel completely robbed, and be like, look, no other character can do this. This is absurd. So with the Reddit comments that could, feedback from the game, from the patch, the devs may think that, okay, look, Slash is too quick, we need to change it, let's reintroduce the speed cap. And that is something I'm fearful of, because removing the cap was a great change. It rewards correct mechanical inputs, and it's skill expressive, and I really like it. To reintroduce it, like, let's say, give you 750 or 780. It's just the same problem as before. This hard cap you'll be bumping up against. Players will still complain that she's too fast. It's not a solution. What I want them to do, if it were up to me, is to increase the sliding friction, but maybe up to 1.3, which is where it was before. But if they are insistent 1.25, 1.2, I think these values would be much better and serve the purpose that they're trying to hit. Sorry, I didn't explain why I, as a Slash player, don't like it. So I'll use an analogy. Let's take a mouse pad and a mouse. So what does this say? This says control. What does this mean? This means that this mouse pad is coarse. It means there's more frictional force on the bottom of the mouse feet, and takes, and as well as your arm, if you're a guy who sort of lays his arm on the pad to play like this. There's more frictional forces, which some people prefer, like I have a control pad, because it makes it easier to slow down and stop. It gives you more control over your movements, as opposed to a smooth, very frictionless, slippery surface where it requires more to slow down, stop, change direction. And that basic analogy applies to Slash. So if I were to be committing to a room hard like this, that motion I just did on the previous patch, I would have landed here and moved forward a little bit, but then I would have cut this way cleanly. But on this patch, because the friction is not helping me slow down, I continue on further than I would like and bump into this pole, and I've dropped my speed, and it's like, ugh. So it's a substantial reduction in her ability to change direction. So when it comes to pushing an angle that I'm not expecting, let's say I just decide to slide jump out here, and there's an opponent at LG. Like, I was up here when I committed to the slide jump, and I landed here, right? If I want to switch my inputs, switch to right only strafing or left only to try and cut this way or cut this way to the teleporter, on this patch, I will continue forward for longer, because I don't have the friction helping reduce my speed, pull me back so that I can get through this teleporter. I will slip forward over the stairs, bounce, straight into his lap. And this is because of a decision up here. Me going going quickly and making a decision back here resulted me in being in a position to just die. Whereas on the previous patch, I would have a tool, the tool of friction, to help me redirect my momentum. So on the spectrum, if this is a spectrum, this line here, and you just call it friction. So in the middle, you've got 1, and further up to this way is control. This is a stronger force imparted onto your skates, to your feet, that can be used to help control and hold you back from sorry, you can use to help change your direction, as opposed to this scale, which is like a reduced friction, which makes you more slippery. It means it takes more for you to fight against your current momentum, sliding forward into poor positions. So that's, yeah. I should call this speed. Like when on the frictional scale, speed is what you get, because there's less friction holding you back when you're sliding. That means you have a higher acceleration. It means you can generate more speed. So the lower the ground friction, the more your acceleration is going to be. Great, but Slash is fast enough, especially at 1.3. I was having a great time. It felt very rewarding, and I miss that sliding at the moment. So even though I'm sliding around very cleanly, getting pretty good speeds, it doesn't feel good to me because I'm very cautious. I'm trying to wrangle my old muscle memory and handle this new slippery sliding. So speed and control, and it's been edged a bit more towards speed. Like it's been brought back closer to this direction, and I prefer it more in that direction. It's personal preference. Maybe other Slash players will disagree. Maybe they like this better. That's fine. Just like mouse pads, I like a coarse mouse pad. I like more friction to work with, to use to help me. And other people may prefer the more slippery option. There is one other point that I would like to make. So yes, I believe this is the wrong direction. I think they should bring her sliding friction back up. That is what I would like. Whether they do that or whether other people agree, I'm not here to say. I'm just here to say what I would want. If they want to buff Slash so that pro players are more inclined to use her, what you can do is to increase this. So this is the maximum sliding duration from a jump that is when you're on the same plane of the same Y position. Okay, so I'm going to just move, slide. Sorry, that's embarrassing. Well, let's slide for as long as we can, and if you were to time it, it's approximately 1.5 seconds. An important thing, this is called crouch sliding. Sliding, you need to be on the ground to use it. On the ground is where she's maneuverable. This is where I can change my direction, gain speed. This is where her movement mechanic exists. Increasing the duration that she can be on the ground would be a substantial buff that I would relish for multiple reasons. Moving around the map for one. Let's say I land in this position and I want to slide around this corner. Look, the slide has run out just before I crested it. But if the slide duration was 2 seconds, it's only a half-second buff. I could be from this position sliding up around this corner. So okay, I get to be a little bit closer. What does that do? There's an invisible line where if I were to land outside of it, I cannot continue around the corner. But if I were to be inside this line, beyond this line, inside the zone, that means I'm close enough to be able to continue around the corner. Increasing the slide duration brings this line back here. It gives you more space. It extends further from the corner and affects the whole map, every corner. The position that you can land in, and then use that to come around a corner. Just the sheer surface area on the map will increase substantially, and that would make her much more maneuverable, much more enjoyable to play, because you're not restricted by, let's say, yeah, because you're not restricted by the terrain. There's not a mandatory zone that, look, if you, okay, I'll be realistic, let's say, if you're behind this line, you have to jump. You must jump. There's no other solution. yeah, you can train yourself to do that, and you can probably maneuver around the map. But if you've lowered the ground friction so that you're so that you're moving faster, you don't have as much space to, I don't know. This patch has upset me. Okay, I'm fearful of the idea of the slide cap coming back, and I would really like for them to change their, like, I don't know how hard it is to do because I don't know the back end of how it's programmed. But if they can increase the duration of her slide, whether just increase the percentage number, because yeah, like whatever, if they can do that, if they can have that effect on the next patch or a hotfix or whatever, I believe that will be enough to encourage the top players to pick her up, because it substantially increases her options. Alright, that's all I really wanted to say. I encourage all the Slash players to... I don't even know. I would like you to think about it as a Slash player, and if you think it's a good idea, if you voice it on Reddit, cool. That gets more exposure, and maybe it's something that can be done, and it's a change that they try. Great. Let me know what you think about the ground friction. Make sure that you actually try it yourself before you talk about it. The speed is increased greatly, but it's harder to control. There's also this maneuverability, this reduction in your maneuverability that has occurred. I've explained, and yeah, I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you later.